Alright, so this is going to be the first in a series of videos going over the interim review, the study guide. So this is for study guide 1. So, motorcycle can go 50 miles on 1 gallon of gas. How many gallons will be needed to go 150 kilometers? Well, if 1 mile is about 1.6 kilometers, how many miles are in 150 kilometers? So we do 1.6 into 150. Well, we move that over 1, so we've got a whole number, and add a 0. So it's 16 into 1,500. Well, 16 into 150. Well, this is where we start doing that whole, draw a table and how many times. Well, 16 is 16. 2 is 32. Well, 2 32s is 64. Well, we're not there yet. So 2 64s. Well, 4 and 4 is 8. 6 and 6 is 12. Oh, not quite to 150 yet. So let's add another 16. And so 8 and 6 is 4. Carry 1. 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. And so that's 144. So 9, 144. Borrow. We get 6. Well, we know 4 is 64, so it's got to be 3. Because 4 is too many. So 3 times 6 is 18. Carry 1. 3 times 1 is 3. And 1 is 4. Borrow. And what we're left with is 16. Now, we can keep going with the decimal, but it's really not necessary. So 150 kilometers is about 93 miles. So we want to know how many gallons we need to go that many miles. Well, 1 gallon is 50 miles. Well, that still leaves us 43 miles to go. And so we need another gallon. In order to get that far. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2. And so that's choice C. Now, obviously 3 gallons would get us there and 5 gallons would get us there. But all we need is 2. And so that's the answer. Okay. So now for the second one. A carpenter needs to cut 15-inch pieces of wood from a board that is 11 feet in length. So what is the greatest number of 15-inch pieces that they can cut out of 6 of these boards? Well, let's give ourselves plenty of room. Well, 11 feet, we need to change to inches. Let me make a slight adjustment to that, because you can't really read that. Okay, so we need to make that inches. Well, So that's 12 inches in a foot. So we do 11 times 12. Well, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Put a placeholder. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Add. And so that's 132 inches. And so now, so we've got this 132 inch long piece of wood. And we want to cut it into 15 inch pieces. So that means we do 15 into 132. Well, 1 times 15 is 15. 2 times 15 is 30. 2 15s, 2 30s is 60. So 4 15s is 60. Well, we're not quite there yet. Well, if I double this, I get 8. And so double that, and I'm at 120. Well, if I add 15 to that, I'm at 135, and that's too much. So that means 8 and 120. Now, again, I can keep going for the decimal, but we're only looking for whole pieces, not fractional pieces. Because it says here, what is the greatest number of 15 inch pieces? Okay, well, if I kept going, I'd get a decimal piece. And that's not a fraction of a piece, isn't a 15 inch piece. So, from one board, so 1 11-foot board gives 8 15-inch pieces. Well, we have 6 of these boards. So 6 gives, so I multiplied that by 6 to get 6. So I multiply this by 6. 6 times 8 is 48. There's my answer. So we have to multiply to change it to inches, divide to find out how many whole pieces, and then multiply by the number of boards. All right, so now question 3. We've got 1,050 people who can vote in this town. We don't know what town it is. It doesn't matter which town it is, but there's 1,050 people that can vote. Now, there's only 2 people running in this election. It's rare for there actually to only be 2 people. You know, there's usually some third or fourth or sometimes fifth person. Yeah, those third, fourth, and fifth people usually only get, a couple of votes each, but whatever. So we got these 2 people, and it wants to know what percentage of people actually voted. So we add these people together. Well, 2 plus 8 is 10, carry 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Yes, I know I said that. Plus 7 is 14. Carry 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. So that's 840. Out of 1,050 people. Well, when we look at our answer choices, we got 20%, 45%, 55%, and 80%. Well, 800, just using a little bit of common sense. 1050 divided by 2, well, 10 divided by 2 is 5. 50 divided by 2 is 25. So here's 50. So this is 50%. Well, 840 is more than that. So that means A and B are definitely gone. Okay? Because it can't be 20% or 45% if it's more than half. And then 55%, well, 10% of 1050, well, is 105. So 105 is 10%. Well, 105 plus 525 is 630. And so 630 is 60%. Well, 840 is more than 630. And 630 is 60%. So it can't be 55%. And so that means it has to be D, 80%. Now, we can keep going and say, well, 840 divided by 1050 decimal 0. And do our long division. Well, 1 times 1050 is 1050, 1050. And so 2 times that is 0, 0, 1, 2. 2 of those is 4200. 2 of those, because, well, we're not there yet, would be 8. And so that's 0, 0, 4, 8. Well, that's what we need. And so subtract and we get 0. And so 0.8, we multiply by 100 and get 80. And so that's your percent. Now, personally, in a question like this, I like the common sense approach of, well, here's what half is. So can't be those. Find 10%. Well, it's more than 10. When we add the 10%, it's more than there, so it's got to be that. And that's my personal opinion. But, it's your choice. Now, for our next question. This is a really simple question that a lot of people tend to get wrong. And there are so many answers to this question. There really is an infinite number of answers to this question. And some people try to get cute with it and everything. They just take the easy answer. P is 60% of Q. Well, the word percent, per is for every. And cent 100. So, $60 means 60 for every 100. So, 60 and 100. That's the easiest answer to give. Now, we can also say, well, if I divide 60 by 10, I get 6. If I divide 100 by 10, I get 10. And so that's an answer. Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And so that works. Well, from here, I can say 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 5 is 15. I can say from here, 9 times 3 is 27. 3 times 15 is 45. I can say 0.6 and 1. Anything that works out to 60% is fine. But the simplest answer is the number over 100. It's just the easiest way to go. And there's no reason to make it harder than it has to be. Okay. And now this stamp question. Now, there's a few ways to do this. Personally, I prefer doing 18 into 828 and doing the long division. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so that's 18, 36, 54, 64, 72. 90, 108, 6, 126, and 36, 144, and 2, and 162. Well, closest I can get to 82 without going over is 72. And so that's a 4. And so we subtract. And we bring down the 8. Well, 108 is 6. And so it's 0.46. So that's how much it is for 1. And then it wants to know how much to buy 12. So 0.46 times 12. Well, 2 times 6 is 12. Carry 1. 2 times 4 is 8. And 1 is 9. Placeholder. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. Add 2. 9 and 6 is 15. 1 and 4 is 5. We had 2 decimal places. So 1, 2. And so it's $5.52. And that's choice D. And so that's how I like to do it. Now, that's not necessarily the way that's easiest for you. So you might prefer a table. So you've got your money and your stamps. And so we know $8.82 for 18 stamps. Now we want to find out how much for 12. Well, divide by 2. Well, 18 divided by 2 is 9. 882 divided by 2. Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. 828. I apologize. I got those numbers backwards. And so, did I get it backwards? Yep. And so, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it's 414 for 9. Well, let's divide by 3. Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. Well, 3 goes into 4 one time, with 1 left over. So now, I've got 414. Divide by 3. Bring down my 1. 3 goes into 11. 3 times. So I've got 2 left over. Bring down the 4. 3 goes into 24 6 times with nothing left over. Wait, come back here. And so that's 136. And I think I might have made a mistake. 4, 1, 4, 9, 3, 0, 5. Yep, I made a mistake. That is not a 6. I'm thinking of multiplying by 4. That should be an 8. And since I want 12, 9 plus 3 is 12. And so 4 plus 8 is 12. Carry 1. 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5. I'm having an off night. And 4 plus 1 is 5. And so $5.52. And so you can do it as a table too. Okay, so it's a matter of whichever is easiest for you. Okay, so just because I prefer it as the green method doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You do the method that works best for you. Okay, now for this one. Okay, this is going to be the last one for this video, and then I will do the rest of this one on a separate video because this video is getting kind of long. Okay, Mariah's deciding which brand of bread to buy. Which brand has the lowest unit price? So this one we have to do division 4 different times. Okay, it's a little long, it's a little tedious, and I understand that, and I am sorry. But that's just how it goes. So, for brand W, we do the money divided by the weight. So that's 18 into $5. Well, 18 times 2 is 36. So we borrow. Bring down the 0. And so then 18 goes into 140. And you know, if you need to, you do your table. And that's a 108. 7 is 16. Carry 1. So 126. Okay, and so 27. And so because it's money, 27 cents. And then we go and we look at, and so that's W. Then we go and we look at X. And so we do 16 into 3. No. 16 goes into 30 once. And bring it down. And again, if you need to do your table. And so And so 18 cents. Well, since 18 cents is less than 27 cents, brand W isn't going to work. So the cheapest is out of those two is definitely brand X. And so now we move on and we check brand Y. And so this is 15 into 4. Well, 15 goes into 40 2 times. Well, we already know since this is 0.2 and that's 0.1, 20 cents is going to be more than 18. So, brand Y, goodbye. So now let's check brand Z. And so 13 into 3. Well, 13 goes into 30 2 times. Well, again, that's 0.2. That's more than 0.18. So brand Z, goodbye. Our answer is brand X. You can see where the dead spot is on my tablet. There you go. All right. And so that's where I'll stop for this one. I'll pick up the next video here.